The Eden Formula is a 2006 creature feature directed by John Carl Buechler. A team of mercenaries trying to steal a secret formula capable of bringing extinct creatures back to life accidentally release a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which goes on a rampage through Los Angeles. But before we get into this low-budget lark, I just want to ask that if you end up enjoying this video, then please think about hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It would really help me out. So thanks. Also, there will be full spoilers ahead, but if that doesn't bother you, then grab your T-Rex arm-flavoured popcorn and whip out your Tony Todd in the hole as we dive into The Eden Formula, which is actually the last movie to contain footage from the Carnosaur series, so I guess you can probably tell what this is going to be like. So the movie begins with a truck rocking up to the delivery bay of some big building. Then this fella gets out who looks a bit like Christopher Eccleston, so let's call him Eccles Cake. Who is it? It's the delivery man. I'm here to deliver your latest delivery.
Kinda late for deliveries, isn't it?
No, it's delivery o'clock. Now suck my Glock.
No, you don't.
Oh, for God's sake, who turned off Tony Todd's mic? We hired one of the most recognisable voices in movies and you can't even hear the bastard. Then a voice comes through on the dead guard's radio asking what's going on.
I just dropped my clipboard on the button, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, you butterfingered bellend. You're always doing that. And also, why do you sound like Tony Todd doing a funny voice?
I'm sorry.
Whatever. Just come back inside, will you? You're letting a draft in. Higher up in the building, we're introduced to Jeff Fahey and Dee Wallace's characters, who I'm going to call Jeff and Dee for the sake of simplicity. Also, I think this is the first time I've seen Jeff Fahey without a beard, and I don't like it. He better have grown a beard by the next time we see him, or I swear I'll probably do nothing. Anyway, they work for this company who have developed the titular Eden Formula, which can bring extinct species back to life. Case in point, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which they're keeping in the basement with Peter Griffin looking after it. So, I can't see this ending well. Peter goes to feed it and says,
Sorry, only one cow tonight. Which reminds me.
I need to order more cows from the internet cow shop. Then he starts wolfing down a sandwich because he's borderline malnourished. Then we see this cop who gets a call from dispatch telling her to check out the big building because the silent alarm was triggered earlier. Yeah, no worries, I'll head over there now. Oh, and stop smoking at work. I can smell it down the phone. How there? Back to the baddies who have been securing the premises, and these fellas walk up to Tony and say, Sir, Carl and I have cleared the ground floor. That means we killed folk, eh?
Very good, Carl.
So, once we crack the safe and steal the Eden Formula, are you sure we can synthesize more of it?
After 15 years in biogenetics, I think I should know what I'm doing.
Hey, I want none of that cheek, Specs. Don't call me Specs. No, I was asking for the specs of the safe. Specs.
Rebecca, status report.
All telephone lines, cables, and alarms have been cut.
Excellent.
Not a problem.
Is it just me, or does everything she says sound really seductive? Anyway, she's trying to open the safe via the computer, and then this fella says,
But no one can access them without the codes.
Oh, yes, I can. You go, girl.
Whew, oh boy, is it hot in here. I would stand up to open the window, but, I've broken me legs. Well done, lad. They didn't suspect a thing. Here, have some dopamine as a treat. So she unlocks the safe, but because all the systems are connected, every other lock in the building opens too, including the T-Rex cage, which shocks Peter so much that he drops his sandwich, and the 5-second rule doesn't even apply because it landed in some cow's blood. And it looks like Eccles Cake lost a bet that Sexy Voice couldn't open the safe.
Gimme.
Bitch.
You know it.
So that's where I've been going wrong. Oh, I've got to go and try this for myself. Don't you go anywhere, I'll be back in a minute.
A few minutes later.
This movie is full of lies. It lied to me. Back to Jeff and Dee, and they're so bored that they've whipped out the wacky backy. And Dee's all like, Dude, how did I not know that bran flakes tasted this good? But then Jeff gets a sudden bout of paranoia.
How long has that light been flashing?
Oh my god, the T-Rex has got out, and there's baddies in the building! Oh, I bet they're trying to rob the formula. Oh, this is gonna send us on a whitey. I need to lie down. There's no time for that, Dee. We need to hide the formula. But where? Aha! The last place they'd ever look. Dude, I am not shoving it up your ass. Then we see some security guards who have noticed the phone lines are down, so they go and investigate.
He's been shot.
Now I've been shot!
No shit, Sherlock. Damn.
I got blood all over it. It's ruined! Then they bring out this lady who is an activist who's been heavily critical of the company which made the formula. I'm going to call her Sammy Shot Shoulder, because she gets shot in the shoulder. So once the baddies have the formula, they plan on blowing up the building with a big bomb, and she'll take the blame.
You son of a bitch.
beg your pardon?
I said, your son is a bitch. Yeah, that's what you get for insulting my son, which I don't have. Meanwhile, that cop from earlier shows up and says,
Is everything okay here?
Yes, officer, everything is fine. Oh, okay then. Bye. Baddies 1, cops 0. Then we finally get some footage from Carnosaur 1, where the T-Rex breaks through the wall to escape. And despite being a massive lumbering beast, it somehow manages to sneak up on this cleaner and bites his head off. Mostly using footage from Carnosaur 2, of course. Then it goes for a wander and Jesus, catapult accident Christ, just look at this thing! Oh, this movie was made 13 years after Jurassic Park. Elsewhere, the baddies gain access to where the formula should be, only to find it's been moved, which annoys Tony so much that he does this. Oh, you've gone too far this time, Tony. I've loved you in every movie I've seen you in, but snapping that pencil is a step too far even for me. I demand a written apology. And don't forget to sign it. To comic. Lots of love from Tony. Back to Jeff and Dee, who bump into the last remaining security guard, who looks a bit like John Goodman, but not as good, so let's call him John Averageman. So they start heading to the way out and then...
Freeze!
Now put your hands up.
But you told me to freeze.
Well, well, well. What do we have here?
3 people walking down the stairs? Obviously. Yeah, but what are you doing here? Walking down the stairs? Oh, got any other questions? Actually, yeah. Do you have the time? Sure, I've got the time right here! That wasn't the time! That was a kick me down the stairs to my death! Oh! Elsewhere, the T-Rex has been wandering the streets of Los Angeles for a while now and no one's even noticed. Then it hears a radio playing at a nearby gas station and it loves a good tune, so it goes for a goosey. Then this mechanic hears the radio turn off and goes to investigate, saying,
Damn kids!
They turned off my radio and placed it on the ground again! This mild inconvenience is unacceptable! Then because no one can see this T-Rex until it makes a noise, it gets the drop on him, and then gives him the chomp. Meanwhile, Jeff, Dee and John make it downstairs and find Sammy Shot Shoulder, with Dee saying,
But they shoot you.
What did they... The bullet hole in my shoulder might be a bit of a giveaway, don't you think? So she tells them about the bomb and Jeff says,
Who's got the detonator?
Your little friend does.
I'll have you know my penis is capable of no such thing. They wouldn't even be able to hold it. It's not like it's an elephant's trunk. But then one of the baddies finds them and we get somewhat of a strange shootout where everyone just wastes their ammo shooting walls. Hey Jeff, when would be a good time?
Now would be a good time!
Elsewhere, that cop is on the phone and says,
No, Mom. We'll get the cake on Sunday.
No, it's my birthday and I want it on Saturday. And don't you be late.
Don't worry. I'll be on time.
And I don't want to hear any excuses like, oh, I got eaten by a T-Rex or some crap like that. Back to the building and an alarm starts blaring with Sammy saying,
What the hell is that noise?
It sounds like the food buzzer!
Why does your food buzzer sound like the building's going to explode? Then suddenly the T-Rex breaks its way back into the building and this numpty decides to stand still and shoot at it. This goes about as well as you'd expect, but then his mate Carl goes and does the exact same thing. Look, boss, I'm shooting at it.
Very good, Carl.
That strategy clearly isn't working, people. Try something else. But then I kid you not, another baddie does the same damn thing. What are they thinking? You lot have the survival instincts of a hot dog! Anyway, the goodie's trying to escape, but Tony gives Sammy a throwing knife to the head, which is probably for the best, to be honest. Jeff and John Averageman get subdued by the baddies while Dee and the cop run outside, but get followed by the T-Rex. Dee gets in the car, and then...
You know, as I lie here, I can't help but comment.
I'm gonna do the exact same thing which got the last 3 people killed. Oh, except it'll be different this time. Oh, I know it'll be different this time.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Hello? Hey, Mum. You'll never guess what's happened. Anyway, Dee drives off in the cop car sobbing before she radios the police dispatch and says,
There's been a break-in, and people have been killed, and there's a giant T-Rex loose in the city.
Oh, you were doing well until you mentioned the dinosaur. Now he's not going to believe you, is he? Because you sound insane.
Placing a prank call to the 911 service line is a misdemeanor.
The 911 service line? No, it's 911. Nobody calls it 911, do they? Especially since this was made after 9/11. Back to the baddies and Tony is interrogating Jeff to find out where he hid the formula.
I want the formula.
What formula is that?
Oh, that formula. I gave that to your sister. Ugh, my mistake. Now replace sister with mother and formula with trouser trout. I got you, didn't I? Yeah, I'll admit it. That was a good one. Elsewhere, Dee tries her luck with the police dispatch again, but this time tries her best not to sound mental.
I'd like to report a break-in at Calgorn Industries.
To your knowledge, has anything been taken from the premises?
Well,
Don't you say it!
something's escaped, actually.
Don't you say it!
There's a giant, man-eating dinosaur that is loose in this city.
So her call ends the same way it did the first time. Then she pulls over to steal some hi-fis from the back of a truck because she's already stolen a cop car, so why stop there? Then we see the security guard at a construction site. He looks out the window to find a T-Rex walking around outside. So he does what anyone would do in that situation. He grabs a shotgun, goes outside and walks slowly towards it. And can you guess what happens? Of course you can, because it's already happened 4 goddamn times! Bet it ain't done snacking on the residents of LA just yet, as this limo driver rocks up to a club and says,
"Here we are. Shall I leave the car here?"
before the T-Rex shows up and eats the bouncer, which scares the limo driver so much that he somehow manages to fly the car into a car.
"Shall I leave the car here?"
Back to Jeff, and he manages to free himself from his binds because Tony foolishly left a knife in his hand. So he and John escape to go and retrieve the formula before they book it like an automatic fuck it. But when they get to it, plot twist for the muckers, John is actually working for the baddies, and he pulls a gun on Jeff. Personally, I would have waited until his back was turned, but I'm no close combat expert. Unlike Jeff! So Jeff decides to burn the formula and all the data on it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. The baddies soon find it and they're not very happy.
Is it
Gone. Burned up. Ruined.
Parker?
Not sure why you'd blame Spider-Man for this, but hell, it's your show, Tony. You blame whoever you like, fella. Then Jeff gets the drop on them, before he swiftly gets knocked out by John. I guess John must have been wearing his melee-resistant face today. Beanie Hat McTwat is surprised to find that John's on their side, and says, "Well, call me Yep and punch me in the face."
Yep.
So the baddies have tied up Jeff again, and Tony's thinking about what to do next. But Beanie Hat McTwat wants to just blow up the building and leave.
Don't you know that this is over? Oh, and then there's the little issue regarding a fucking dinosaur!
Tony ain't putting up with this insubordination though, so him and McTwat have a wee scuffle, which Tony obviously wins because he's twice his size. He does let him live though, so I guess he can just go home and put this all behind him, right? Nah, instead the absolute nitro cabbage decides to steal a car and speed off like a maniac, crash into another car, drive down the wrong side of the street, before seeing the T-Rex, panicking and driving himself off the road into something explosive. Ah, that's some Darwin Award level dumbassery right there. The next morning, and Tony has decided to kidnap Jeff so they can force him to recreate the formula somewhere else. Then this delivery driver turns up and has himself a loud delivery man boogie. But the T-Rex shows up because it loves a good boogie. Thankfully, it's distracted by even louder music coming from a trail of hi-fis that Dee has set up lined with dynamite, which she got from the dynamite shop, I guess? Then the beastie makes a beeline for the hi-fis and we get some of the greatest special effects shots I have ever seen. Oh my god! 3 years after this movie came out, Avatar came out. Just think about that, man. Oh, I tell you, those are some special effects right there. Tony then shoots the van driver and loads Jeff into the van, before telling the others to go and kill Dee so there aren't any witnesses. But surprise, the T-Rex ain't dead, and it apparently eats all 3 of them in a single bite off screen, because the special effects budget was clearly used up on the jumping Rex / explosion combo. Jeff then has a fight with Tony and ends up impaling him to a wall with his own throwing knife, saying,
"Stick around."
Then the T-Rex eats Tony, who was full of red paint all along. Jeff and Dee take off with Tony's detonator before hitting the button and both the building and the T-Rex go kablamo.
Okay, maybe a giant dinosaur wasn't a great idea. I was thinking maybe next time, a giant ape.
Seriously? Why don't we just move the experiment to New York and put it on display while we're at it? You're a dumbass. And you're fired. End of movie. Well, I don't think I can sugarcoat this one, folks. The Eden Formula is a terrible movie. It really does have some of the worst special effects I have ever seen, and it doesn't make a lick of sense. Tony Todd, Dee Wallace and Jeff Fahey clearly did the best with what they had to work with, but just about everything else is just hilariously bad. This is definitely one worth watching with your mates after a few drinks. Good lord. So, the Eden Formula, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you loathe it? Let me know in the comments below while I melt.